You're listening to the Because I Said So podcast.
All right, welcome back. We're back. The boys are back in town. This is the Because I Said So podcast, Season 2, Episode 1. I am your host. I'm the dad in the father and son's equation here. I'm Jeremy, and with me as always are my sons. First up, I have, he's lean, he's mean, he's now 16. With me as always is Josiah. Josiah, how are you today?
Good.
Okay, you're going to have to speak up a little bit more than that, but that's okay.
Good.
And with me also is, he's 9 still. He turned 9 last time. Yeah. Anyway, he's 9. He's got a new cool haircut. Yeah, he's cut like the god of thunder himself. Or the Lord of Thunder. Yeah, that's right. He's got a Thor haircut.
He lives in Asgard.
He does live in it. No, he doesn't live in Asgard anymore.
Asgard is no.
Well, oh, I'm sorry. Spoilers. Anyway, with me is Jonas. Jonas, how are you on this fine, rainy, thunderstorm Sunday evening? Eh? Just eh. Well, we had a long hiatus, much longer than I wanted to have, but just time and schedules and life has taken precedence over podcasting, and I'm hoping that this begins a new habit of podcasting at least once a week or twice a month, like we were doing towards the end of Season 1. We are very excited to be back in front of the microphone. We are upgrading what we use for a studio, but unfortunately you're going to probably hear some thunderclaps in the background because this seems to be the norm for Western New York, is that we're just going to have rain. Non-stop rain. It was thunder and lightning last night, thunder and lightning tonight, and it's been insane. So if you hear that, I apologize in the back. But as Josiah said, it could add a little bit of atmosphere to the show. This month, I'm doing something called National Podcast Posting Month, NAPOD, POMO, and I have another show that I'm doing called Story Time with Uncle Jeremy, inspired by time with my niece. And she said, tell me a story, Uncle Jeremy, and I didn't tell her any stories. And then I'm like, well, I have stories, and I might as well tell them. So there's a bunch of stuff going on over there. Just take a look for Storytime with Uncle Jeremy. It's on my Spreaker page. Would love for you to do that. But anyway, here we are. This is going to count as day 6 of NAPOD POMO for me. I've been podcasting 5 days in a row. This is the 6th day in a row that I've been podcasting, and I'm pretty excited about it. And I figured, why not bring the boys in and start Season 2 of Because I Said So. This week, we're going to talk about a movie that we saw on Friday. We've been talking Marvel movies pretty much every time they come out. The only movie we haven't talked about since we started the podcast that came out was Spider-Man Homecoming. And Josiah, you mentioned that earlier. And before we started recording, and I honestly don't remember a lot about Spider-Man Homecoming.
You don't remember?
I don't remember a lot about it because it wasn't that memorable.
All of it.
I don't remember a lot of it. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I just didn't remember a lot of it. And it's out on Blu-ray, I think, now, or it's coming out soon. I don't remember.
Already out. I saw it at the store a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, and I haven't rushed to get it. I think I should
wanna buy it.
I should probably put it on hold at the library so we can watch it. You know.
I want to buy it.
I'd like to buy it at some point, maybe, but we're not going to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming strictly because I don't remember enough about it to really have a very lively discussion about it.
Maybe me and Josiah can have a special podcast episode. Just me and him talking about Homecoming.
Maybe, probably not. All right, but we did go on Friday to see the latest in the Marvel movies, and let's just talk about the experience of going to this movie. We went to a regular theater. It was packed, and we were surrounded by people, which is not a big deal. I don't mind a packed movie theater, although my dream is to go to one that is empty, strictly because the experience of watching a movie alone is awesome.
We did do that with Civil War, though.
Yeah, sort of. But with
Civil War or Winter Soldier, one of the two. We went to the
remember.
one with the reclining seats, and we were the only ones in the theater.
Right, and it was pretty empty.
It was Ultron.
It was pretty empty when we went to see Homecoming, too. There was only about half a dozen people in there. But this theater was not like that. Opening night for a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, to be expected to be a sellout, and it was. And we go in there, and there were these guys sitting behind me. I used to be a violent man, and these guys made me want to tap into that old violence. They just would not shut up. Non-stop conversation during the trailers, before the movie, and it was just inane, stupid, nerd stuff. They were like the alpha nerds. And I could
hear them. They're like, "Oh yeah, I heard that in one part of the movie, like,
yeah,
his sister shows, like, Thor's sister shows up."
Yeah, all I wanted to say was, and I did say eventually, "Shut up!" That's all. I just couldn't take it anymore. And they quieted down for like 8 seconds. And then they kept talking again. Thankfully, they did not talk through the entire movie. But the one trailer that I wanted to be quiet for a couple of trailers. One of them was Star Wars, because Last Jedi had another trailer. And then there was a Black Panther trailer that I think I might have seen, but I don't remember seeing it before Friday. And I wanted to see those trailers and see what they were. And these guys would not shut their mouths. It was awful.
And 12 Strong.
So, yes, 12 Strong looked really good, but that's a different ball game. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that they put Black Panther before Thor, because Black Panther is a very similar movie to Thor. Don't you think?
At least the new Thor. I don't think it would be like the old Thors, because the old Thors were like
boring.
They were weird. They weren't really
Exciting.
bombastic and huge in scale like the new one was, because they were kind of like, well, how do we make Thor interesting? He wasn't very interesting in the Avengers. How do we make him very interesting? We'll put him on Earth. That'll be a good idea. And so they put him on Earth and had a bunch of friends.
Well, he was... Yeah, but Thor, the movie Thor, happened before the first Avengers.
Well, they probably had the first Avengers written at that point. But they were like, Thor isn't a very interesting character. Let's put him on this.
Well, I honestly thought the first Thor movie didn't need to happen. It just didn't do anything for me. It was okay, but it was the kind of movie that I thought they could do an anthology of characters and put him in like a 40-minute movie or a 30-minute movie with a bunch of other movies attached to it, like a Scarlet Widow movie or Scarlet Johansson, Black Widow, a Black Widow movie. Scarlet
Witch.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch. I'm just
like Scarlet
Witch, Black Widow. Black Widow is portrayed by Scarlett Johansson. Scarlet Widow sounds like a Spider-Man villain, actually. It probably is.
And like a comic mashup of Black Widow and
Scarlet Witch. Maybe.
They team up.
But anyway, they could have done a Black Widow 30-minute movie, a Hawkeye movie. These like Avengers that are not all that cool on their own. Kind of give them a little bit of time to be solo. But
and that's what
anyway.
Thor was. He wasn't that great on his own. And then Thor Ragnarok was what he needed, I think. Thor Ragnarok revamped him and made him like super interesting and likable and like charismatic.
Well, they had to have Thor, the movie Thor, in order to introduce the element of the Tesseract, which is one of the Infinity Stones, in order to lead
they
into.
Did that in Captain America, though.
True, but that was Captain America, the first Avenger. Was the Tesseract in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing
it was. In the beginning, remember when they're...
Yes.
When they find out at, like, the burial place.
In the Nazi, but they needed Thor to kind of bring that element with Loki utilizing the Tesseract to bring the alien invasion. So that every piece fit together in every phase of the Marvel films. So I guess what I'm saying is they needed the first Thor movie, but they didn't need it. I wasn't that into it. It was okay. And then Dark World was just a bad movie. It was horrible. It was too dark, too scary. And Thor Ragnarok was everything Thor the Dark World wasn't. And there was humor, a lot more humor than I wanted to see in a Marvel movie. It seems to be that's what they're skewing now. If you look at Avengers: Age of Ultron had some jokes. Then they had more jokes in Civil War. Then they had a load of jokes in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Guardians of the Galaxy was a comedy first, then an action sci-fi movie after.
Yeah.
That's why people are saying that Thor is a comedy first that is on a comedy that's on like a bunch of different places, and then there's some cool action scenes which were actually really, really good. And the only problem I had was the tonal differences. There was only there was two parts of the movie. One of them, the big conflict, and the other one, Thor getting lost. I'm trying to not spoil.
Well, yeah,
but that's what it was because like when Thor was lost, then like there was all the jokes and stuff, and then when it was the main conflict, it was really dark and really gritty, and there was a lot of action and stuff.
Gritty
until they met, and then it was funny.
I think you're using the term gritty a little bit wrong. Gritty is like street level. Gritty is everything Marvel does on the TV shows, not in the films. The films are very glossy.
Then action.
Yes.
More of an action packed, more like darker toned.
Yeah.
Part.
Dark
so that was the
World
only problem I had with it.
Very. You forgot what.
I don't remember what happened in it.
You forgot like the whole thing except for like the red streak thing.
Well, the red is one of the Infinity Stones. I honestly don't remember a lot about Dark World. I bought Dark World and I don't remember anything about it.
The only scene I remember in it was the scene where Loki transformed into Captain America because that was the only part that was actually memorable about it.
Yeah, I don't remember Dark World, but Ragnarok itself, it was basically a comedy and it was all right. I would put it probably in the top 10, but very on the low end of the top 10, but that's just because I thought it was too much humor and tried too hard. There was a couple things about, like, as a parent, I don't like adult jokes in movies that are family oriented, but I was willing to make a pass for one or two of them, but then the third one used a term that I didn't really want to have to explain to my kid. Thankfully, he didn't get it. But it didn't make me laugh. I thought it was inappropriate and it was unneeded and unnecessary for the movie. But, there was a lot to it that was good. I liked Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster. I thought he was great. He's great in everything he does.
But he was still just playing Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, he wasn't playing a character.
Jeff Goldblum never plays another character. He just plays Jeff Goldblum.
He was being himself. And I'm tired of the Stan Lee cameos. I'm tired of them.
Oh my gosh. This one sucked.
Well,
so
I'm tired of them because they take me out of the movie. And I don't like it. In fact, there was another cameo early on in the movie that took me out of the movie for a minute, too, that I didn't like. I thought it was dumb. It made sense. It made me giggle, but it was still dumb. And, it just gives the guy an excuse to say, hey, I was in a Marvel movie. I was uncredited. I'm not going to spoil what it was, but it's very early on in the film. You'll know what I'm talking about if you haven't seen it. But the one thing I couldn't stop thinking about when I was watching this is, as a guy who grew up watching He-Man and Masters of the Universe, I'm watching all the stuff that happened on Asgard with Hela, with all of the characters, these sword fights and stuff like that mixed with sci-fi. I'm thinking to myself, why can't they make a good He-Man movie now? That has everybody. They're totally capable of doing it now. If you look at Thor,
movie.
yes, Yes, it would be awesome. And I can see them doing like a trilogy. You have the first one where Prince Adam finds out who he